Welcome back to our Trust Talk series, this time in podcast form. And we are really honoured to be recording here in the Yard in Coventry, a venue known for being a safe space for everybody. We are here to talk about why visibility and why inclusion matters in our communities as we celebrate Pride Month. My name is Gemma Hathaway.
And I'm Rob Darling, and we're really excited to be here. Welcome, Richard. How are you?
Thank you. Yeah, very good. Thank you. Nice to be here.
Good. Even though whilst recording, we're coming to the end of Pride Month, we are coming off the back of Coventry Pride weekend. There was a parade and all sorts of entertainment. It was great to see the community coming together. And we're there representing the Trust in the Pride March this weekend, weren't we, Gemma?
We were indeed, Rob. And I have to say, what a great turnout, great atmosphere, and a really lovely opportunity for us to come together as a Trust and show our allyship in action. So it's not just been Pride weekend for you this weekend, though, has it, Richard? You've been really busy with all sorts of Pride-themed events this month. Do you want to share some of those things?
We've had lots on this month. June's always a busy month for us. So the week before Pride, we had United in Love Festival, which was just around the corner from here in University Square, which was a day full of entertainment, connecting community organisations with our community and trying to achieve our long-term ambition of bringing our community closer together, to be working closer together and connecting more with one another. And that was closely followed by Coventry Pride, obviously, just over the weekend, as you mentioned, which was a wonderful event. And in between that, Unity in Coventry had our choir performance singing on 2 occasions, which I was a member of, which was quite daunting, but good fun.
Where were you singing? Whereabouts?
So we sang at the United in Love Festival and then at Coventry Pride yesterday. So our community's had two sessions of us singing now, which has been very good fun. Very good.
Brilliant.
Fun.
Singing always brings people together.
It does, yeah.
And it's really interesting because the Yard has become known of one of Coventry's best known inclusive venues. Our schools also play a vital role in creating environments where everyone feels safe, valued and able to be themselves, which is really important. From your experience, what are the key ingredients that help create that genuine sense of belonging?
When I talk about a genuine sense of belonging, if I talk about the venue as the Yard and how we encourage that sense of belonging amongst people who come in here, it's down to obviously creating a safe environment for them to come and enjoy. It's about making the venue open to as many people from different backgrounds, and making it as diverse as possible. I've always been a firm believer that we need to open our community up to allies as well, so it's not just the queer community, it's allies as well, because I always think, how do you break down barriers without actually having everyone in the same safe space, to bring people together, and that helps then nurture a sense of belonging, in that the customers come in here, they feel safe, they feel like they belong here, it's a space they can use and identify with, and it's reflected with our staff, with the security team, with the way the venue's laid out, with entertainment we put on. Everything is catered with that specific one aim of creating that safe space to nurture that sense of belonging.
Yeah, really, really important. And as someone who's leading the way with both the Yard and the Unity in Coventry, you've seen how communities come together. You've demonstrated that in just your response then. Why are partnerships between charities, businesses and organisations and other organisations so important?
Well, I think it's essentially, it's really important because primarily for our community to know what support there is available to them. When I'm talking here about organisations such as Coventry and Warwickshire and Worcestershire Mind, support organisations, people like that, to have that connection with the queer community, it helps the community know what support's available to them. Unfortunately, there's some terrible statistics within our community about mental health and how it does affect our community more disproportionately than other communities. And that's why having those connections is so valuable. And also to link in with businesses so that businesses can actually learn from our community. They can foster sort of practices that we do within our organisation. I'm talking about Unity here as well, about things that we do within Unity that they could then adapt to in their own business. And also, a lot of businesses are scared. They're scared about saying the wrong thing. They're scared about upsetting someone by saying the wrong words, by misgendering when they shouldn't be. Little things like that we can help educate them on, and help guide them to best practice, really.
I think that's really interesting point. I mean, we've spoken a lot around the inclusive approach that you've got here at the Yard. I mean, we're sat here, your windows are wide open, you don't shy away from anything, you're not trying to hide. And I think that's a really important approach. And I wonder, perhaps you could share some other examples of decisions that you've made where you've gone beyond just displaying the rainbow flag here at the Yard. Because I think that's probably a really important part of your culture and mission around that whole idea of an inclusive space for everybody.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you touched on it there with the windows open. When we first opened the Yard in its previous location in the Bullyard, that was known before as a venue called the Glass House. This gives you an idea of the layout of it. It's glass windows around the front. On our launch night, I remember speaking to someone in there, and they said, lovely looking venue, it looks really nice, but when are you going to put curtains up and cover the windows? I was like, what? Why should we have curtains up? And he said, well, you can't have people looking in and seeing us inside. I said, well, no, I'm not putting any curtains up. I want us to be open. I want us to be proud. I want us to be, this is us. See us, we're not hiding away type of approach. So we never did put the curtains up, and the people kept saying to me, you're going to have your windows smashed. And I said, if we get the windows smashed, we're going to replace the windows. So that's one area that we just want to be as open as possible. And I think that's perhaps me growing up in the sort of 90s era, when to go to a queer venue back then, it was knock on a door a few times, and there's no windows, you go through a door and into a very dark venue, and it's hiding away mentality. And I'm the total opposite. I want us to be out there. I want us to be open and visible to everyone. And that's why we're sat here today with those doors wide open and being proud of where
absolutely,
where we are.
And that's that role modelling as well. And I think, that you are teaching from the top almost around the whole idea of what visibility looks like and what safe spaces look like, and modelling that is really significant. And I suppose for us as a trust, that whole idea of courageous advocacy is really important, and ensuring that everybody has a place at the table and ensuring that everyone's voice matters is something that we really champion as a trust. And I wondered whether or not you wanted to maybe touch upon the role of schools. We're here serving thousands and thousands of young people every day. It's one of the best parts of our job, is being in the classroom and being able to have opportunities to discuss and to nurture and walk alongside our young people. And I wondered whether or not you wanted to think about the impact of having inclusion at the heart of what you're doing around the whole idea of inclusion, around belonging, around mattering, around the fact that actually people, and young people especially, should be able to have psychological safety to feel that they can be who they want to be, or at least be in a space where they can have those discussions.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it takes me back to when I was at school, actually, and there's one memory that always sticks in my head. Things were different back in those days. I think that the way things were taught was different back in those days. I won't reveal my age too closely, but it was in the 90s, shall we say. It was in the 90s. I went on to do my sixth form A-levels, and I went into the school. It was a different school in Kenilworth, and I remember the head teacher, a lovely lady called Mrs. Head, led assembly when we first went there for the first time, and explained to people that you're now in this sector, you're now in a different school. You can be yourself. Now's a time to develop yourself and your self identity. And it's the first time I'd ever actually heard a teacher talk about being gay.
It's a quite powerful moment.
Really powerful moment, and that stuck in my head all these years later. And it's the impact just little words like that can have on a child going through school will stick with them for the rest of their lives. And it's something that we've just got to be so careful with in schools, that actually what we're teaching and demonstrating to a child is that they can be who they want to be. They can
incidentally mirroring that community within our schools, mirroring all communities.
Absolutely,
is really important, so children can find themselves through books, through lessons, through learning, through lots of different information. Because it's such a confusing time, and I definitely found it confusing when I was growing up. Coming to terms with so much that's going through your head and where you're identifying yourself as, and just to have that teacher just say one little word, and that made such a big difference to my life. And it's and I do think we try as a venue
and also as Unity in Coventry, we try to do a lot more outreach stuff with children, because I think from our perspective, there's a bit of a gap that we could be doing more. We do a lot as a venue towards 18 plus. We do obviously all the weekly entertainment and stuff, but that under 18 market, that community is one that we'd love to try and do a bit more with.
Yeah. I think that fits nicely with my final question, really, and we're going to be asking everyone this today. Looking ahead, what would you love to see happen in Coventry and Warwickshire wider over the next 5 years in terms of inclusion in the community? You've touched on aspirations for the venue here, for lots of other people, but what would you like to see?
I would love to see the queer community joining together much more. I think we are getting better, but I think we did become very fragmented, and I would like to see us working together more and supporting each other more than we do at the moment. I think, especially at the moment with what's going on in the world, we just need to be working closer together as opposed to infighting with each other. So I'd love to see a much more close-knit community, one that supports each other, one that's cohesive, and one that sticks together.
Thank you for that really great point at the end there. Well, I think that's about all the time we have for today in today's episode. Richard, thank you so much for joining us and letting us use this amazing space for the afternoon. Have you got anything coming up you want to share? We've heard you were visiting the BBC a few weeks ago.
Yes, that's very exciting. Yes, we're over the moon to have been nominated as finalists for the BBC Make a Difference Award.
Oh, wow.
In Coventry and Warwickshire. This is Unity in Coventry, I should say. And yeah, we're absolutely over the moon. So yeah, thank you. We're keeping everything crossed that we do well in that.
When do you hear? When is that coming up soon?
It's a couple of months away now. Okay. So we've got a bit of a wait on our hands, but I think it's in August off the top of my head.
Brilliant.
But yeah. No, we're quite humbled to have even made it through to the finalists. So yeah, we're over the moon with that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Thank you, Richard.
No, thank you.
Thank you for listening. We'll be soon with the next episode of Trust Talk.